So, seems that I'm part of the tradition, 10 years, quite surprising for myself as well. And for me, it seems to be Nordic testing myself days, so part of it is this presentation. So I start with my experience with functionality testing. Last 20 years, which is half of my life, I've been related with web applications. First 10 years of it, I was building them as a developer. I was into quality. I've been to every kind of checks to my web applications to be sure that it works as expected. And then, from time to time, it was functionality testers' turn to do their part. And for me, it was really valuable feedback round. What I missed, what I can improve. I clearly remember one bug. It was 15 years ago, but I still remember that. In dropdown, things were ordered incorrectly if they contained Estonian letters. So tiny detail. But it blew my mind because it was just so tiny detail. How do you notice this kind of stuff? What is in your checklist? As quality is all about details, it was time for me to improve my own checklist. But I was more and more into security, and then I switched to other side. Not to the dark side, but just to the other side. So last a bit more than 10 years, I've been working on web application security. It's too much to say that I switched from destroying to building, but the topic is web application security. But it requires constant perspective switching. How to hack into web apps and how to build them correctly. It may all feel like it's all pure, deep technical, but actually it's not. Because it all depends to psychology and how people are thinking. Those are people who are making decisions, and those are mostly people who write program code, or do testing, or write program code for testing. It means if we want to improve something, we need to start from people. And I like to ask one simple question to analyze all this, and the question is, why? Just why? Mostly I ask this question from myself. The question is short and simple, but to find answer for that question is not simple at all. Like why we are doing our jobs and not some other jobs. Why do we keep doing something and stop doing something else? And why we are afraid of something and we are confident in something else? So if you don't have very clear answers for yourself for this why question, you may have some worries related to confidence and motivation. And no nuclear science here. Those are obvious and common worries, like how to stay motivated, how to avoid falling to routine and just getting bored, or how to feel valuable for the company or feel valuable for the product. If I watch myself, if I analyze what I have been doing, or I analyze others, especially successful ones, again and again I come to one word, and it is passion. In this talk, I'm going to explain why I think the passion is one really important keyword to solve a lot of obstacles, or small problems, or big problems. So as everyone may have their meaning for the word passion, to avoid assumptions, I just picked a few definitions for that, for this presentation context. So passion can be the answer. Not just why we are doing our jobs, but why we're enthusiastic. Why we are and stay motivated. Why we get energy from our jobs. Or why we love what we are doing. Some more clarifications. In this talk, I share how passion has solved worries for me. So I just share my opinion, my experience, and my mindset. And it's so important to understand what is an opinion and what is a fact. Everyone has their own opinion and point of view. Like, is it 6 or 9 here? But it does not make any sense to take opinions as truth and the only truth. So you take away, you can listen to this talk and analyze parallels from your own IT career, what you would like to do the same way like I do, or what you definitely would like to avoid. Let's start with routine. Routine is good for some elements in life as it provides security and stability. But for some other elements in life, like some tasks at work, some just cannot stand the same activity without any changes over a long period, and probably including me. So the question is, how to avoid getting bored and without changing jobs? The theory here is simple. If you would like to avoid routine in some area, you need to have changes there. And at work, it means we need to find our way how to do different activities. For example, I have the luxury to set my passion focus to really different activities. My main topic is web application security, but I can do there security testing, building and giving training, taking part of cybersecurity exercises, building every kind of related tools, doing demo attacks, co-leading worldwide use security standard called OWASP ASVS. So there are a lot of activities. So there's everything, breaking, building, talking, and entertainment. And from every activity, I can see the same topic from different angle. And it improves my knowledge for every activity. But it's not only me who have this luxury. Everyone has the luxury in our company. And there is just 20 of us. And during 10 years, only 3 persons have left. In IT market, where all the talents are constantly hunted, I find it to be a really good result. So my takeaway here is, whoever is responsible to keep your employees, if you want to keep them, provide them to do different activities. And for others, simple task, find the company and the boss who allows that. But the ability to change activities depends on our employer. So we need to watch it more as a long-term solution. Because we just cannot switch activities if some task is annoying for us, because we need to finish the task. And in this situation, I would call it escaping. But instead of escaping, we can control our situation and we can find a way how to stay motivated for every task. So for me, the motivation needs to come from inside. If it comes from outside, then we are forced to do something which we would not like to do, and I call it pressure. And the key word here is ambition. To achieve something, you need to challenge yourself. And when challenging yourself, you are not just push yourself out of comfort zone, you are extending your comfort zone. Think about, probably you have some experience where in the beginning of some complicated task, it felt huge, so-called mission impossible. Like learning new technologies, starting new work, doing exams, doing certificates. But then you achieved it. Felt good? But this experience got you more confidence for the future. And clear knowledge that you can do it. And if your success felt so good, it creates hunger for more. I want to feel more. And if you know what you're doing and why you're doing, you can handle a lot of struggling and a lot of fallbacks to just keep going. You know why you are doing it. Now back to this worry or the question, how to do boring tasks. But if I declare that this task is boring, we just hit ourselves against this task. Let's do some mind games here. If I say you, don't think about ice cream, especially chocolate one. You started thinking about ice cream? And now think about the sentence, or we need to define our goals with positive outcome. Otherwise, our subconscious is setting our goal to opposite direction. Let's do more examples. If you say, I don't want to feel stupid, what are you going to think about? First, that you are stupid. Then, I don't want to feel stupid, but everything is in your head is going around you being stupid. Does not make sense, yes? So you should say, I want to be smart. What are you going to think about? That you are smart and how to get smarter. And you can apply this logic everywhere. Set your goals with positive outcome. And the most ironic motivational sentence ever heard. Don't give up. What are you going to think about? Giving up. So let's set our focus what we actually want to do. I can do it. Or here we can read it, I can do IT. And about those boring tasks, let's redefine them. You can spice up every task by creating your own challenges. I can improve it. I can learn something new from it. Even I just want to get it done is a way better statement than it's boring. Let's say I have 100 hours pen test case. 100 hours of work. A lot of analyzing technical issues, creating demo attacks. I put a lot of energy to this report. Those are usually some 100 pages. And then it's time to send the report, and then do you know what it is? It's an empty page. And this is your feeling after pressing the send button. You have nothing for yourself. Developers at least have the program code, but testers have nothing. But we can change that. If I do some pen test case without improving any tool, any knowledge base, then it's just wasted time for me. I didn't learn anything. Maybe it's not the case for you when you constantly, in case you're constantly testing one product, but for me, I have constantly new set of technologies. And if I haven't seen the set of technologies over a long time, then I don't remember details anymore. But the quality and also security is all about details. But as I store my discoveries in the knowledge base for the future. So I'm back. So the storage base also gives one answer how to be more valuable for the company. Because our storage base is available for everyone. If I put something there, everyone can use it. If someone else is putting something there, I can use it. So this is how we can create value for the company. And the same with every kind of tools and demo attacks. If I do something which I can reuse in the future, I try to write program code for that. And every time I try to improve that, till there is no need to improve anymore. And again, the tools must be available for others. And this is how you can create value for the company. And tools are like pet projects. This is your thing. You store there your success, your discoveries, and you can keep it after pressing the send button. I already mentioned that I'm doing pen tests. But what does it mean? Anyone knows? The actual term is penetration testing. Well, as people may have every kind of interesting interpretation for the word, let's keep talking about short version, pen test, or more understandable way, security testing. And funny thing, this room name here is black box. In security world, black box testing means testing an application without any previously given information or accesses. Probably everyone have heard, or at least taken part of the discussion, is it a bug or is it a feature? Let's try to define them. So bug is situation when the application works differently than it's written in the specification. And feature, when we can force to do application something else which is not written to the specification. Is it a bug or is it a feature? First, we may find most likely we find bugs with functionality testing and feature with security testing. But in both cases, if you report it, we can get one question. And the question is, so what? And that's a really valid question, actually. You can ask it, of course, with different attitude. Like, so what? Who is going to use the application that way? Or with more polite way, so what? But can you explain me why it is important? And we should all ask the question ourselves. Why it is important and why it's important to fix it. We need to be able to explain it and find it out first ourselves. If you report the bug, usually you can point to specification that, hey, it's written in the specification like that. It's not my fault. But can you explain why this requirement exists in the specification at all? What's the point for this requirement? The same with security testing. We can point to some security verification standard requirement. But this one also doesn't answer the question, so what? Why it is important? And what is the impact? What is the risk we're going to solve with that? And this is something what we need to analyze and figure out. So, let's do it in practice. So first I have a completely unofficial web page. It's not official. And if you want to take part of this demo and if you have your laptop with you, go to the same page, NTD2022, and later I just need one click from you. That's it. All you need to do. So precondition for this demo is that I need to have some username and password stored to my browser. And this is the key moment, and you're going to remember this dialogue every time you're going to press this save button. So the precondition is that we store our credentials to the browser, and the precondition is filled. If you can see this kind of page, browser autofill our form. Now, how to start testing? First, test. We have a lot of talks about testing. No surprises here. Then next important thing, we are safe from the coffee side. And also we can see that our search phrases are pre-filled back to the search box. But I'm always interested how the application handles special characters like apostrophes. So seems all okay. Next one, quote marks. No results. Any other notices? It's easy to miss it because it was just one symbol, but previously our search phrase was filled back to the search box, but this time not. Maybe it's because we didn't have any results. Let's improve our test case. So visually it seems that whatever comes after quote marks is removed, including quote marks. And this is what you can report as a bug already, because the application doesn't handle quote marks correctly. But from security perspective, we never cannot make any conclusion from visual output. So we need to watch actually the view source. And our test phrase actually is here. So here is the problem. And for me, it's immediately hint that we may have HTML injection vulnerability here, also known as cross-site scripting often. And let's create a challenge out of that. Let's try to find out what we can do with that. So next thing, I tried to create one image tag and script tag to the output. Let's try it out. So image is loaded, script is executed. So we can control the output, visual content, and we can execute JavaScript. In this situation, if there is still question that so what, then it's a clear feedback for us that the other person does not understand the impact or danger of cross-site scripting attacks. And it's our job to explain it. So what we can do with that? There are actually only two limitations. First one is your knowledge of JavaScript, and second one, your imagination. And during pen test, often I ask a client, what is the most dangerous thing I can do in your admin interface? And this is exactly what I'm going to prove every time. If you are familiar with Selenium test, then the idea is basically the same. We automate all the steps for the browser and later let the victim browser to do all those steps. Classical example, if an admin user visiting my controlled web page, then I force this admin user browser to create automatically new admin user account for me. And in this situation, what is the difference in the message for the client? Do we save the client from alert 1 or do we save the client from the most dangerous thing in admin interface? And I can say from my own experience, the difference is huge. In short, if alert 1 doesn't seem dangerous, we need to deliver more attacks. And maybe we just need to use more personal approach, like to show them their own password from tested system. Personal enough? I saw that I can create HTML tags to the output, so I tried to create now form with one text field and one password field. So classical form. So I was able to create the form, and what happened? If you have credentials stored in your browser for the host, and your browser sees the password field, it fills it with the password value, and just puts the username value to the text field before that. Simple as that, and scary as hell. And this is our next challenge, how to read them out without user noticing it. So before that, we're going to read out, I need to prove one more step. Can I load external JavaScript? So I'm going to load JavaScript from another domain, which is hacker.eu. So it seems that I am able to load external JavaScript files and execute it. And in this case, it was just one alert function called. That's it. But instead of this proof of concept script, I'm going to use one other script, again, written as a tool to deliver messages for pen tests. And the goal for the script is simple, just to steal user credentials. But we have actually one more issue to solve. Everything what I have demonstrated so far is happening in my browser. So how you are affected? And logic here is again simple. I need victim to visit exactly this URL, what I have at the moment in the address bar, because then the same URL causes the same effect for every other browser. So as an attacker, if I want to attack you, I need you to visit this URL. How to achieve that? I just can copy the URL from the browser and share it on social media, send you with some chat. I don't do it for friends. But some coworkers are afraid of to open links. Or redirect you to the URL from other sites. And for the demo, let's visit this completely random other site called Hacker.eu. So this is the other site. Let's zoom out. This site could redirect you automatically to the attack URL. But at the moment, I'm just going to do one click. And what happened? On the left side, there are logs from the attacker-controlled server. And I can see that my credentials are already leaked, what I just used. If someone do the same with your laptop, you can see your credentials there as well. But what about the site? Do you notice anything suspicious? Just no results. Seems a bit weird, but then we just click the program and all is okay again. And the point is that without tracking all the redirects, without analyzing the network traffic, you cannot really understand what was happening. It means the average user does not notice anything. This browser worked, or this demo worked automatically with Firefox. With Chrome-based browser, it requires one click. How we can achieve that? If it didn't show any results, then you click on the program button and already password is stolen. So in this example, we saw how tiny detail, like mishandling the code mark, may lead to serious trouble. And for you, is just one example how your passwords may leak. In other words, don't use the same password for many sites. So we're done with hunting bugs. Let's move on to the features. When hunting features, every parameter is an opportunity. And it means all the get parameters, post parameters, HTTP headers, cookies, whatever browser sends to a server. And I use now local environment for this test, and I'm going to test order by parameter from the address bar. It's not something what user need to fill when visiting the web page, and that's why this kind of stuff may be like not noticed by functionality testing. And for presenting my steps here, I just display this order by value on the header of the page. So how to start testing? First test is that is the parameter values allow listed? Is there a check? Is there validation? And let's send just one other value there. And this is something which every functionality tester can do, but as it is a security requirement, every security tester must do. So we can see that just different value caused broken output. We don't see the table correctly anymore. And we can stop here. We can report a bug that it's not handled correctly. Done, move on. Or we can continue investigating what we actually can do with that. One simple test is, can we send number instead of field names? Because if the number reads to SQL query, it means also field order, not the field name. If I change the number, I can see that output is ordered by different field. For example, for number 2, it seems to be title field. And if I increase it, then I reach the number when there is again broken output. And this is actually feedback that there is no sixth column in this case. So most likely, we have SQL injection issue here. But the problem for the attacker is that if the vulnerability is in order by part of SQL query, then we cannot use union or other nice techniques to read the database content out to the output as text. We just cannot get any text to the out. So we need to have different mindset here. If someone asks you, would you like to have tea or coffee? What is your answer? It can be something polite, like yes, tea please, or no, thank you. But what is IT person mindset? The question was tea or coffee. It contains or, so it's a Boolean, and I want coffee, so the answer is true. Don't try this at home. And now I try to use this mindset here. I try to create condition that is 1 equal 1. So here is the condition. And if the situation is true, the output is ordered by start time. And if the condition is false, the output is ordered by title field. So this is true, this is false. And to just for easier to follow and better to script, I limit the output for one row. So this is the output row when the situation is true, and this is the output row when the situation is false. And now things are getting interesting. We can ask whatever questions from the database, but the answer can be only true or false. How to read the data out that way? You can practice it, for example, in the evening, when there is a party time. Communicate with other person, and other person can say only yes or no. Have fun. But with SQL, it's actually quite simple. We choose what we want to read out. Then we check, is there value? And if there is, what is the length of the value? And then, character by character, we're going to quest it. Is it this? Is it that? It's a lot of questions, I can say. And if you have to do something a lot, then automate it. And you can quest it correct. I wrote a tool for that. And this is again one of my storage projects. So first, let's verify the conf. So we can see the same situation, positive results, this time, and negative results, this title. And for a starter, let's try to detect the database version. So it took us 53 HTTP requests, and we know the database version. But now I'm going to show you what is actually going on the server side. Anyway, if you want to read anything out from the database, we need to know the database structure. What kind of databases we have there, what kind of tables are there, and what kind of columns are there. So let's start from database names. No, this was the version. So database names comes from here. So you can see a lot of noise is going to the server. And as it works in local environment, it's fast enough. And we know with 159 queries that there is a database called NTD. Now I want to know what kind of tables are there. So in this case, there are two tables, schedule and users. For sure, I'm more interested what kind of fields are in the users table. Again, few hundred, just 138 requests, and I know that there are ID, password, and username fields, and now let's just read the data out. I'm going to read out only 2 rows, but think about it. In the beginning, it felt just some not validated parameter, but now we are reading database out from that. It's noisy, it's slow, but it is possible. It's challenging and it's fun to prove. So to just read out 2 rows with 3 columns, it took 1,000 HTTP requests. You may say that it's too noisy, but I already have this information. If you figure out it now, half a minute later, it's too late. But if we are too lazy to read the data out, and we just want to cause some damage, then SQL injection provides us every kind of interesting opportunities, like just take the service down. So if you have this not validated attribute, we can take the service down. Theory here is really simple. We can execute sleep function for the SQL query. And if I send a lot of parallel requests, I occupy all the possible connections from the application to the database and put them to sleep. Sleep well. So what I did, I sent huge amount of parallel requests, and let's try to read out the database version. I cannot. And what I can see from the access logs, I hit the maximum workers settings, so I cannot use this site anymore. Let's try from the visual output. No response. That simple it is. And if you wondered why I did this example in local environment, then this was the reason. Cannot take down live services. So let's stop those sleepers. Now let's analyze what happened. First, do you have some ideas how to improve your checklists? What to do next? But let's compare the impacts. I think importance of functional testing is so undervalued because you never analyze what happens, or why it is important. And undervalued by testers themselves. And if you think about it, it may cause those previously mentioned worries like, I want to feel valuable for the team. You are valuable, but you just don't figure it out how. If you report a bug and you didn't analyze it, what you can do with that, like in this demo systems, and then it got fixed, you need to understand you saved the application from the same attacks. You just don't know it yourself. You don't know how important it was. If you do those extra steps, what is the chance that you get actual some extra feedback from the client? Thank you for saving me losing money and reputation, or product owner, whoever. Also from the development team. Thank you for saving us for causing big trouble. They may not say it out, but they understand the value. And if you do those extra steps, do you feel more valuable yourself? You know what you took down or take away. The result should be that you are happy with the result. Now, when we write program code, we don't write the entire huge project and then start testing it. We write it piece by piece. We do it step by step. The same we should do with all the challenges and extra steps. Small steps, step by step, just a lot of them. Otherwise, you may get stuck to some unrealistic big jump and you never reach your goal. And now one of the really important topic. Too often I see that people are afraid of ask questions. It's like most dangerous thing ever. Is it really better to struggle? Better to give up? If the solution is just one question away? Why kids can ask questions and adults not? Maybe some got in the school judgments as an answer. Additionally, there was need to know everything yourself and by heart. At work, no one expects you to be encyclopedia. We have internet and Google and Stack Overflow for that. So it is important how effectively we work, how fast we are as a team. And not only as an individual, but as a team. And there are no stupid questions, there are just fast ways to get smarter. I think the ability to ask questions is actually working environment test. Because if someone asks a question, he or she is asking for help, asking for an answer. But if he or she is getting nagging on show-off or judgment as an answer, it's not really healthy working environment. And here, everyone needs to watch to the mirror as well. Do you give answers or do you give judgments? Don't take willingness to ask questions away from someone, like from kids. So asking questions is one really important skill to resolve a lot of problems and just do it faster. And if you have some questions, what was happening in the screen previously, you know what to do, yeah? So it's time to wrap up. If you notice some problem in application, use your curiosity to find out why your finding is important. This is the way to define yourself why you are important. And it gives you extra energy to stay motivated and stay excited. So for me, finding a bug is not the finish, it's a start of the journey. Some of you may have reactions now like, oh, I'm happy what I'm doing, that's the important thing. And I don't want to have any constant research and extra steps. Some others may feel like, oh, actually, I want to hack things, I want to do security testing. This was my philosophy, how passion gives motivation. I wish you successful hunting and a lot of successful extra steps. Thank you.
Thank you, Elar. Now it's time for questions, and as usual, just please raise your hand and we will bring microphone to you. But let me ask the first question. You mentioned that we should ask each other questions and the result should be like true and false. May I try? Do you consider your clients' scared faces after you present your testing results as a positive feedback?
True.
And who is the next one?
Hey, thanks a lot for the talk. That was really super interesting. Question for me and for anyone else in here. So as a software tester, if I want to get more into security testing, what can you recommend as a good starting point or resource?
You already had curiosity, so that's good. A good starting point, as I'm co-leading also one of the projects in OWASP, which is open source web application security project. So there are every kind of cheat sheets, testing guides from security perspective, and testing standards. So I think this is a really good starting point to just open your eyes what else you can do with those applications. I have one question. Who is going to change your password?
I have a question. You can answer, I'm here, back here.
Yeah.
You can answer true or false. It's a very typical Estonian question. Have you stopped drinking brandy in the mornings?
Error. No feedback. That's a tricky question, yes.
Was that a feature or a bug?
That's good hacker thinking. That's for mindset, it's a feature.
Probably, do we have more questions?
You can find me later and ask all the questions which you are afraid of ask at the moment.
Hang on. We have a little tradition. Yeah, we have a question, very good. Until the microphone travels, then we need to inform you what question assurance actually means. So if we are in a situation where there are no questions, and I understand some of you are being modest or, you know, sometimes I also don't want to, you know, say out loud, maybe the question feels stupid, whatever it is. Question assurance means that Harles or me will pick somebody out randomly, and you will have to ask the question. And can be anything, nobody judges you. This is just the way to get the conversation going, because after the first question usually comes another and so on. So, we have a question there.
Yes, I had the question about have you ever been hacked? Or like, have you ever had attack on your like personal accounts or anything you have, you know?
There is only one answer. There can be two situations. One that you know that you are hacked, and the other that you don't know that you are hacked. So I have the second one.
Thank you.
Hi, and I have a question. Have you used the social engineering for your pen testing? And how it looks like?
Okay, I opened the topic a bit. So social pen testing is verifying from the application, like what is wrong there. Social engineering as interacting with people and try to get some information out is more like red teaming topic. When the organization or team doesn't know that they are tested. But what I'm doing mostly is pen testing, which means that I'm co-working with the development team or the product owner at least, so they know what I'm doing. So from there, it's a bit hard to do this social engineering part. But another team in our company is their main job is to get the information without anyone notice that they got the information.
Hi. So I have a question for you. I saw that your experience is like over 15 years, and I think you have also worked in agile way of working. When it comes to the software team that you work with, do you coach them in a specific way when you start, or is it that you're like the lowly wolf and do your stuff and have no communication with the developers?
Usually we have, with communication for developers, we have trainings. So there is, for say, I built 4-day training to have this communication to developers. This is how to educate them abstractly. Then second part, it really depends on company or the team who ordered it. If someone, let's say, usual case, when we cooperate a lot of with developers is startups who are building their own products. So then developers are like directly in contact with us, and then we just share what we find, why it is important. They ask questions, okay, if you're going to patch it like that, does it work? Then it may take many rounds till it gets like bulletproof, or not bulletproof, proof against me. So yeah, this is the only communication, but we are not part of the development.
So when you start on a project with the developers, do you have any way of working to coach them, or is it that you wait for them, or is it?
Not really. We are involved when the product is ready enough to have security tests. So we don't start with any development. We are independent security testing. So that's why we are not in the beginning there to coach them. The coach is just the training part.
Thank you.
Thank you.